The film Mississippi Burning does raise an interesting question for all of us. Where were we in 1964? I'm going to ask Willem Dafoe the same thing. How young were you?
I was 9 years old.
Does that mean you're typical of a lot of audience members out there who will be looking upon this subject almost as ancient history?
Well, it was, I really can't say that I remember it from when I was 9 years old. It's a long time ago, a different time.
Is that how a film like this maybe can function, as a reminder, especially for those who didn't know about what was going on?
Certainly, certainly. I mean, it is a work of fiction, but it does point to some things that were happening in our country in '64.
Meanwhile, every time we see you in a film, we can't get a fix on what Willem Dafoe looks like. And especially now with the mustache and the beard. Mm-hmm. Do you like that elusiveness that you've achieved so far?
It never occurs to me because I live with myself all the time, so I know what I look like, and it doesn't seem like that big of a change to me. But at the same time, that's kind of fun. I mean, you like to surprise people, you like to shift gears, you like to explore different possibilities. Mm-hmm. So if that's true, that I've got some fluidity or changeability, that's nice, it's attractive. I think that's more fun for people to sometimes watch actors that play around with different things.
Is this something you've also courted on the stage as well? For example, you've apparently maintained contact with the Wooster group.
Yes.
What is the Wooster group? What should we know about that to understand?
Well, it's an avant-garde theater company. It's a group of theater artists that create, perform, and produce their own work at our theater in New York, the Performing Garage. And yes, it's probably the oldest company that actually creates their own work, and I don't know anyone that's been around as long as we have, so it's got that distinction. And basically I use the term avant-garde very loosely because it's not theater in the traditional sense. They aren't really play structures, and in sensibility they're really much closer to dance or music.
And typically organizations like this have no place for stars. I mean, when you go back there, you're not a movie star then, I assume.
Well, that's right, that's right. Not among my colleagues, but certainly some of the, as far as the audience, sure, some spills over, and the two worlds do inform each other in positive ways and negative ways.
I'm curious if all of the reverberations from Last Temptation of Christ, if any of those followed you down to Mississippi and Alabama.
People were aware of it, but it was no problem. It was no problem.
Are we at a time at last when people are prepared to watch that film with a relatively dispassionate attitude?
I don't know. You're talking about Last Temptation? Yeah. Well, it's hard. It's hard because I find that there is a perception still. It's kind of like when someone says, how long's it been since you stopped beating your wife? You know, it's the accusation is remembered, the verdict is not remembered. Mm-hmm. I feel like there still is a cloud that hangs over it, even though I think essentially it's been vindicated as soon as it's been seen. But a huge amount of controversy, of course, came out before anyone even saw it. And what people remember is the controversy, and I don't think the film was really given enough dialogue. But perhaps a time will come when that will happen.
Any thought given to the fact that now as the FBI agent, your demeanor, your face, everything is so completely different?
I think I was somewhat conscious of that because the role as Jesus was a substantial role for me, and I think, I've got to be honest, there was some interest to really do something completely different, to kind of shake the Jesus curse off of it, because everyone, of course, thought I was crazy to take the role, but I was a great fan of Marty Scorsese's, and the project interested me a great deal. Very interesting role. Meanwhile,
in closing, let's go down to Mississippi and Alabama now. What did you learn as a result of the shooting, about the climate in America at that time, since you were coming to it pretty fresh?
You learn so much. But one thing that still fascinates me is, like in terms of my character, where did that idealism go? I think we have grown cynical. So I'm not sure people like that exist now.
Because I was surprised about your character. He doesn't emerge some kind of a black and white caricature of an idealist. He does have passion.
Good.
Good.
I hope so.
You want
I
that.
hope so. Certainly, one of the things that interested me in the role is I didn't know how I felt about this guy. Certainly, he was very principled, but he was also sometimes seemingly naive and disconnected from really the experience of what was happening in the South. So I shifted very much in my feelings for him when I read the initial screenplay. And I liked that. I liked that because it showed some sort of complexity.
Indeed. Thank you. Willem Dafoe.
Great. Thank you.
He is in Mississippi Burning, and we're together here in Washington, D.C. I'm John Tibbetts for KCTV5.